Have you ever wondered why some people celebrate a last-minute goal like they just won the lottery, or spend days feeling miserable after their favorite team loses? To outsiders, it looks irrational. It's just a game. But what if psychology says it isn't? What if the passion of die-hard sports fans has almost nothing to do with sports, and everything to do with identity, belonging, emotion, and even survival? Today, we're uncovering 9 psychological signs that reveal why some people become deeply obsessed with sports. These aren't random habits. They're powerful patterns backed by decades of psychological research. And the final sign might completely change the way you think about sports fans forever. Let's begin. Sign #1. Their team becomes part of their identity. Imagine someone asking you, "Who are you?" Most people answer with their name, career, or family. But psychologists discovered something surprising. A huge part of our identity actually comes from the groups we belong to. This idea is called social identity theory, introduced by psychologist Henry Tajfel. His research found that people naturally attach part of their self-worth to the communities they identify with. That could be a country, a religion, a university, or a sports team. For highly devoted fans, supporting a team isn't simply entertainment, it becomes part of who they are. That's why you'll hear phrases like, "We played terribly today," "We finally won the championship." Notice the word "we." The fan never stepped onto the field, yet psychologically, they experience the victory as their own. And this isn't imagination. Studies show that when a favorite team wins, loyal fans experience increases in confidence, positive mood, and even self-esteem. Their brain treats the victory almost like a personal achievement. The opposite happens after defeat. A heartbreaking loss can genuinely reduce happiness for hours, or even days. That's why Monday mornings after a major loss often feel unusually depressing for passionate supporters. To outsiders, it seems dramatic, but from the brain's perspective, their identity just took a hit. This isn't weakness, it's how deeply humans are wired to connect themselves to groups. And sports simply provide one of the strongest groups available. Sign #2. They feel connected to athletes they've never met. Here's something even stranger. Many sports fans feel emotionally attached to players they've never spoken to. They celebrate their birthdays, defend them online, worry about their injuries, and sometimes even cry when they retire. How can someone feel genuine sadness over a stranger? Psychology calls this a parasocial relationship. It's a one-sided emotional connection formed with someone we repeatedly watch and admire. At first glance, this sounds unhealthy, but research suggests something surprising. Our brains often process these relationships in ways that are remarkably similar to real friendships. Think about it. A devoted fan has watched an athlete for years. They've seen the victories, the failures, the injuries, the comeback stories, the interviews. Over time, the athlete stops feeling like a celebrity. They start feeling familiar, almost like someone you've grown up with. But there's an even deeper reason. Fans rarely admire athletes only because they score goals or win trophies. They admire what those athletes represent. Discipline, resilience, courage under pressure, the ability to overcome setbacks. In many ways, athletes become symbols of the person fans secretly hope they can become themselves. So when that athlete retires, gets seriously injured, or walks away from the game, it can feel like losing a source of inspiration, not because they knew them personally, but because they represented a dream. Sign #3. Sports give them permission to feel emotions they normally hide. Modern life teaches us to stay composed. Don't cry too much. Don't shout. Stay professional. Stay calm. Control yourself. Day after day, people suppress frustration, excitement, fear, even joy. Eventually, those emotions have nowhere to go. Sports change that. Inside a stadium, or even sitting in front of a television, people suddenly have permission to express everything they've been holding inside. They scream, laugh, celebrate, cry, jump into the arms of complete strangers, and for once, nobody judges them. Psychologists describe this as a healthy form of emotional release. Instead of bottling up feelings, the brain finally gets an outlet. That's one reason sports events feel so emotionally intense. The match itself becomes more than competition. It becomes a safe space where people can experience emotions without embarrassment. Think about the last championship celebration you watched. People hugged strangers. Some burst into tears. Others couldn't even find words. Were they only reacting to a score? Or were years of pressure, hope, disappointment, and excitement finally pouring out all at once? For many devoted fans, sports aren't creating emotion. They're simply unlocking emotions that were already waiting inside. And that's why the experience feels unforgettable. By now, you may already recognize yourself or someone you know, but these first 3 signs are only scratching the surface. because next, we're moving inside the brain itself. We'll discover how watching sports literally changes your brain chemistry, why sports create one of the strongest feelings of belonging humans can experience, and why many fans don't actually choose their obsession at all. So far, we've discovered that sports fans don't just watch games. They connect their identity to a team, build emotional bonds with athletes, and use sports as a healthy outlet for emotions. But now we're going even deeper, because what happens next isn't just psychological, it's biological. Your brain actually changes while you're watching the game. Sign #4. Their brain reacts as if they're actually playing. Have you ever noticed a fan leaning forward before a penalty kick, holding their breath, grabbing their head after a missed shot, or suddenly jumping off the couch after a last-second goal? It almost looks as if they're on the field themselves, and surprisingly, their brain agrees. Neuroscientists have found that watching sports activates parts of the brain responsible for movement and action. This happens because of something called the mirror neuron system. Mirror neurons fire not only when we perform an action ourselves, but also when we watch someone else perform it. It's one of the reasons we instinctively flinch when we see someone get hurt, or smile when another person smiles. The brain briefly simulates the experience. Sports fans experience the same phenomenon. When a striker sprints toward the goal, the fan's motor system becomes active. When a boxer throws a punch, parts of the viewer's brain respond as though they're throwing it too. In other words, the brain isn't simply observing, it's participating. But that's only half the story. During an exciting match, another powerful chemical floods the brain, dopamine. Often called the reward chemical, dopamine fuels anticipation, motivation, excitement, and pleasure. Interestingly, dopamine doesn't peak only when your team scores. It rises most during uncertainty. That's why the final minutes of a close game feel almost unbearable. Your brain becomes completely focused. Every pass, every mistake, every second. It's a powerful neurochemical experience. And that's why many fans say, "I couldn't look away." Because neurologically, their brain couldn't either. Sign #5. Sports give life a sense of order. Life is unpredictable. Hard work doesn't always lead to success. Good people sometimes lose. Bad people sometimes win. You can do everything right and still fail. That uncertainty creates anxiety. Humans naturally want life to make sense. We want effort to be rewarded. We want fairness. We want closure. Real life rarely provides those things. Sports do. Every game begins with clear rules. Everyone knows the objective. Everyone knows when the contest starts. And everyone knows when it ends. There is a winner. There is a loser. There is resolution. For a few hours, the world feels understandable. Psychologists have long argued that people experience greater satisfaction when goals are clear and feedback is immediate. Sports offer exactly that. A shot either goes in or it doesn't. The timer reaches 0. The scoreboard tells the truth. There's no office politics, no hidden agendas, no unanswered questions. That clarity can be deeply comforting, especially for people living stressful or uncertain lives. Many outsiders assume sports fans are escaping reality, but perhaps they're doing something slightly different. They're stepping into one of the few places where reality actually feels organized, where actions have visible consequences, where stories have beginnings, conflicts, and endings. Sometimes that's exactly what an overwhelmed mind needs. Not escape, but structure. Sign #6. Their love for sports usually begins long before they understand it. Here's a question. Why do you support your favorite team? Really think about it. Did you compare every team in the league, study statistics, analyze management, and then make a logical decision? Probably not. Most fans inherit their loyalty. Maybe your father watched every game. Maybe your mother celebrated every championship. Maybe your grandfather gave you your very first jersey. Before you even understood the rules, you already knew which team you were supposed to cheer for. Psychologists call this intergenerational transmission. Values, traditions, beliefs, and emotional attachments often pass from one generation to the next without anyone consciously teaching them. Children learn through observation. If every weekend the family gathered around one team, that ritual becomes associated with comfort, safety, togetherness, love. Years later, watching that same team no longer feels like a simple hobby. It feels like home. For many people, their favorite team is one of the last remaining connections to someone they deeply loved. A father who is no longer alive. A grandfather whose stories are still remembered. A sibling they rarely see anymore. Every match becomes more than entertainment. It's a reminder, a tradition, a memory kept alive. That's why asking someone, "Why don't you just support another team?" often misses the point. They're not loyal because the team always wins. They're loyal because the team became woven into the story of their life. Changing teams would almost feel like rewriting their own history. At this point, sports obsession looks very different than it did at the beginning. It's not just excitement, it's brain chemistry, it's emotional structure, it's family history. But the final 3 signs go even deeper, because next we'll explore why sports fans build powerful tribes, how repeated losses secretly strengthen emotional resilience, and the surprising reason sports can create experiences that feel almost spiritual. Those final signs completely redefine what obsession really means. We've already seen that sports fans don't simply enjoy games. Their brains react differently, their emotions run deeper, their loyalty often begins in childhood. But the final 3 signs reveal something even more fascinating. Because beneath every jersey, every chant, and every celebration lies one of humanity's oldest psychological needs, the need to belong. Sign #7, they crave a tribe, not just a team. Thousands of years ago, humans survived in small tribes. Being accepted by the group wasn't just emotionally rewarding, it was essential for survival. If you lost your tribe, you often lost your chance to live. Although modern life looks completely different, our brains haven't changed nearly as much. Deep inside, we still long to feel part of something larger than ourselves. The problem is, modern society offers fewer places where that feeling naturally exists. Many people barely know their neighbors. Families often live in different cities. Friendships become harder to maintain as life gets busier. Technology keeps us connected, yet many people feel lonelier than ever. Sports quietly fills that gap. Walk into a packed stadium before kickoff. Thousands of strangers, wearing the same colors, singing the same chants, celebrating the same moments. For a few hours, those strangers stop feeling like strangers. They become a community. Psychologists call experiences like this collective identity. When people unite around a shared purpose, the brain releases chemicals linked to trust, cooperation, and social bonding. That's why fans often hug complete strangers after an incredible goal. Not because they know each other, but because, in that moment, their brains believe they're on the same side. Supporting a team isn't always about competition. Sometimes, it's about finally feeling like you belong somewhere. Sign #8. Sports secretly teach emotional resilience. Most people think sports obsession makes people emotionally weak, but psychology suggests something almost opposite. Think about what every loyal fan experiences over the years: hope, disappointment, excitement, heartbreak. Then, hope again. A championship dream collapses. Next season begins. Another heartbreaking loss. Another comeback. Another chance. Without realizing it, sports fans repeatedly practice one of life's most difficult skills: recovering from disappointment. Psychologists sometimes describe this as stress adaptation. When people experience manageable emotional setbacks, they gradually become better at handling future challenges. Sports creates exactly that environment. The pain feels real, but it's temporary. Fans learn that losing isn't permanent. Tomorrow still arrives. Another match will come. Another opportunity will appear. That repeated cycle quietly teaches patience, optimism, persistence, and emotional endurance. That's why many lifelong fans don't stop supporting their team after years of losing. Their loyalty isn't built on constant success. It's built on resilience. They've learned something many people struggle to accept. You can experience heartbreak and still choose hope. Sign #9. They're really searching for something bigger than themselves. Now we arrive at the final sign, and perhaps the most important one of all. Ask yourself this: why would someone spend decades supporting the same team, watching hundreds of games, celebrating victories, enduring painful defeats, buying jerseys, traveling long distances, investing thousands of hours for something that doesn't directly change their own life? The obvious answer is they love sports, but psychology suggests there's something deeper. Human beings have always searched for meaning, for something larger than themselves, something that makes life feel connected. For centuries, many people found that feeling through religion, shared traditions, or tightly connected communities. Today, those experiences have become less common for many people. But the psychological need hasn't disappeared. It's simply found new places to live. For millions of people, sports became one of those places. Think about the words fans often use after unforgettable moments. "I'll never forget that night. It felt magical. Everyone became one. Time seemed to stop." Those aren't ordinary descriptions. They're descriptions of transcendence. Moments where people temporarily forget themselves, their stress, their worries, and feel connected to something much bigger. Researchers studying intense group experiences have found that these moments can create powerful feelings of unity, purpose, and awe. For a brief moment, individual identity fades, and collective identity takes over. That's why championship celebrations often become lifelong memories. They're not remembered because of the score alone. They're remembered because of how people felt, connected, united, alive. In that moment, sports becomes far more than entertainment. It becomes meaning. Final thoughts. So, are sports fans obsessed? Perhaps, but not in the way most people think. They're not obsessed with a ball, or a scoreboard, or a trophy. They're attached to something much deeper, a sense of identity, a place where emotions are free, a connection to family, a tribe that accepts them, a tradition passed across generations, a lesson in resilience, and sometimes, a rare feeling that they're part of something greater than themselves. Maybe that's why sports have survived every generation, because they satisfy needs that have existed since the beginning of humanity. The next time you see someone cheering until they lose their voice, or sitting silently after a heartbreaking defeat, don't be so quick to judge. You may not be looking at obsession, you may be witnessing one of the most powerful expressions of human connection, because in the end, people rarely fall in love with sports alone. They fall in love with what sports allows them to feel. If this video changed the way you think about sports psychology, let me know in the comments. Which of these 9 signs surprised you the most? And if you know someone who's passionate about sports, share this video with them. They might finally understand why their love for the game runs much deeper than they ever realized. Don't forget to subscribe for more psychology insights that reveal the hidden reasons behind everyday human behavior. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep discovering the psychology behind what makes us human.